the same time American rebels were fighting British regulars at the Battle of Bunker Hill, the Continental Congress was in session here at Philadelphia's Independence Hall, formerly Pennsylvania State House. John Adams believed he had the key to enticing an equivocal Congress into supporting the army that had formed around Boston. And the key was a man.
I concluded with emotion that Congress would adopt the army at Cambridge and appoint a general. I had no hesitation to declare that I had but one gentleman in mind for that important command, and that was a gentleman from Virginia, John Adams.
The gentleman was George Washington, who had attended the convention wearing his scarlet and blue Virginia militia uniform, as if advertising his availability for military service. With one brilliant stroke, John Adams brought the Plantation Society Southern colonies to the active support of the industry-oriented Northern colonies, and at the same time, provided the embryonic Continental Army with a strong, charismatic leader.
He was the revolution. He was the army. He is the only American who's ever lived who, if he had chosen to, could have become king. There was a movement toward the end of the Revolution to make him the king of the new country.
Though I am truly sensible of the high honor done me in this appointment, yet I feel great distress from a consciousness that my abilities and military experience may not be equal to the extensive and important trust. However, as the Congress desire, I will enter upon the momentous duty and exert every power I possess in their service and for the support of the glorious cause. George Washington to the Continental Congress.
He was a man who had presence. He just walked into a room and everyone stopped and looked at him. He was very tall for that day, about 6'3", but in that time that made him a giant.
George Washington was one of the richest men in America. He owned thousands and thousands of acres in Virginia, which he had in part acquired when he married Martha Custis, who was the richest widow in Virginia at the time of their marriage. And he had inherited a very substantial estate from his brother Lawrence at Mount Vernon. And also he owned thousands of acres in the West, which he had acquired as bounties for his service in the French and Indian War. And it only proves, I think, that the American Revolution was unique in this respect. It wasn't in any sense an attempt to overturn the existing class structure. It was really a war fought to protect rights and privileges and property which Americans felt they possessed as free-born Englishmen.
At his Mount Vernon home, Washington presided over an estate that sheltered and utilized the labors of over 300 hired workers and slaves.
He was a tough character. He wasn't this old man on a dollar bill that we think of now. He stood as straight as an Indian, and men just worshipped him. He'd drink and he liked to gamble and play cards, and when he got mad, he could cuss the paint off the walls.
You had prepared me to entertain a favorable opinion of him, but I thought the one half was not told me. Dignity with ease and complacency, the gentleman and the soldier look agreeably blended in him. Modesty marks every line and feature in his face. Abigail Adams on meeting George Washington.
Everyone said he was extraordinarily graceful, the best horseman of the day. He was powerful. He inherited his father's strength. He didn't speak a lot. He was very self-effacing for two reasons. One, that was just his personality. He was not a pushy person. The other is his teeth were very bad. Even as a young man, they were rotting out. And that always embarrassed him a little, so he kept his mouth shut. You see the paintings of him with his lips clenched together.
My dearest, I am now set down to write you on a subject that fills me with inexpressible concern. It has been determined in Congress that the whole army raised for the defense of the American cause shall be put under my care, and that it is necessary for me to proceed immediately to Boston to take up command of it. George Washington to his wife, Martha.
2 weeks after the Battle of Bunker Hill, Washington rode to Cambridge and officially took command of the Continental Army. He kept the British trapped in Boston and its harbor for months, while he watched his new army, largely composed of independent and undisciplined state militiamen, dwindle by desertions and enlistment expirations.
Such a dearth of public spirit and want of virtue, such a dirty mercenary spirit pervades the whole that I should not at all be surprised at any disaster that may happen. Could I have foreseen what I have and am likely to experience, no consideration upon earth should have induced me to accept this command. George Washington, October 29th, 1775.
Nevertheless, enough old militia re-enlisted, and enough new militia appeared in the next months to hold the shoestring army together. Washington moved his forces onto the heights of the Dorchester Peninsula, where he could overlook the British, but he could not threaten them. He had no heavy artillery.